What's up, YouTube? Greetings. You got Casper the Friendly Gamer here, Mark Nestico, that's my real name. And I'm doing another pickup video, even though it was, I just did one the other day, which was a pretty sweet one. Picked up a bunch of boxed Super Nintendo stuff and some really cool titles that I had been looking for. So if you haven't seen that video, it's in my history. I'm wearing a wife beater today because Erin requested it. She likes the tattoos, I guess. Maybe you do too. So basically the reason I'm doing this in such close proximity to my last one is because Matt and John and I went out today and yesterday on just kind of a, a little bit of a whim hunt, and ended up just, I went berserk. I had another huge week for my growing collection, so I decided really wanted to share this with you. Because I'm probably going to be taking a week or so off of buying because I'm getting ready to go to Las Vegas and need to save up for that. But I'm going to start on Saturday because it was actually a really good day. The first thing I'll talk about is a PS1 title that I just got, which I used to have and I loved it, and obviously it slipped through the the cracks of time, but I was able to get it back. The gentleman that I bought all of the box games off of, things like, R-Type, or Super R-Type, sorry, dang, Castlevania 4, and Gun Force, he actually texted me last night and was like, hey man, I remember you saying you really dig Mega Man, and I actually found something that you might really like that I just had that I didn't realize that I had. So, we worked out a deal on Mega Man Legends for the PS1, and it's complete. There we go. The disc is gorgeous. This guy took really good care of his games. I was looking at some of his other titles that he had before I made the Super Nintendo purchase, and they were all in really good condition. They just didn't have cases, but this one, luckily, a gem, and easily one of the best PS1 titles out there. Tons of fun. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. So that was what I ended up doing after I got out of work, but it kind of coincides with the deal that I did on Friday, so I wanted to get the first one out of the way. But yeah, really excited about this one. I'm definitely going to be playing this very soon after I finish Castlevania 4. So we went out pretty early in the day, and the first purchase that I was able to make was a couple of Super Nintendo, or not Super Nintendo, a couple of PlayStation 2 controllers, and about 4 Xbox 360 games. The reason I can't show you those is because I traded them in today, but you'll see what I got for them. But the story was kind of funny. We got to this sale, and the young lady that was running it, I asked about video games, and she's like, oh, we do have some stuff. So she had 2 pretty good condition PS2 controllers, which I just have sitting in a drawer because I have extras. But she's like, oh, do you guys want games too? And obviously we did. And she yells into the house for her husband, and he brings out, a handful of games, about 5 of them, but they're okay titles. You got Gears of War, Crysis 2, and a couple Call of Duty games. And I was like, well, how much would you like for the 2 controllers, ma'am? And she looks at me and she goes, 2 for $1. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue with that. Spare PS2 controllers are always great to have. So then we get to the game part. And I go, well, how much would you like for these 4? Because one of them was a Madden game, like Madden, 09 or something. And she looks at me again and she goes, 2 for $1. And the husband, he goes, honey, you know what we paid for these, right? And she looks him right in the face. She's like, 2 for $1. And he's like, yeah, 2 for $1 sounds great. So he, he handed the games over to me. So I gave her $3, and I was really happy about that. I mean, 360 games for 50 cents each. That several of those, will trade in for at least, $5 to $7. I felt really good about that. So that was our first little purchase of the day, and unfortunately nothing to show you, unless you want to see PS2 controllers, which I don't think you do. But we kind of were diddling around a little bit. Got some of these. And we decided to go stop off at we went to the, that community sale. That was pretty much all we got from it. We went to this pawn shop that was on the way to a second community sale, and I found a copy of WrestleMania the arcade game for $5. It doesn't have the manual, but I looked it up on eBay. There actually was a manual, and it's about like $1. So I'm going to complete this out. It was just $5, and I really enjoyed this game when I was younger, and it still has the the hook, so or the hanging tab or whatever you call it. But yeah, I thought this was like pretty cool, and it was just $5, and to complete it, it becomes an $11 game, I guess, and it's gonna cost $1 to finish it off. So whatever. But kind of cool. Really dig this one. So we're driving, and we accidentally happen upon it says yard sales, and it was a community that wasn't listed on Craigslist, and usually community sales are always on Craigslist. So whenever we get there, we walk around for about 5 or 6 houses. None of them have games, and Matt and I are both kind of like, this seems like a waste of time. Maybe we should just bounce out. But it turns out we were on the last little leg of the thing, so we were like, let's go check the last 2 houses. We get to the first house, nothing. Get to the second house, and ask the gentleman, hey, do you have any video games? And the guy goes, yeah, we actually have them. They're around inside the house. We moved everything in because it looked like rain. So we walk in, and immediately the first thing that I see is a big box of Nintendo 64 stuff. And Matt, makes a beeline for it, and we literally both went in separate directions because he saw something he wanted, and I saw something I wanted. And the guy had this just sitting on a table, and that's Final Fantasy II, which is in pristine condition, and the reason being, because at a previous garage sale, Matt, who already owned Final Fantasy II, saw that this game was complete in box and asked the guy if the guy would sell the box and the manual for $20, and the guy did. So Matt was able to complete his Final Fantasy II, and that's the reason why this one is in such just fabulous shape. So I grabbed this one, and also went up to the guy and said, hey, do you happen to have any other games that are just sitting around upstairs maybe? And he goes, I do have one game, I don't know if you're interested in it. He goes, it's a GameCube game, it's called Wind Waker. And I was like, yeah, I would be interested in that. So he goes ahead upstairs, and he comes down with this, and this is a complete copy of Zelda The Wind Waker, the non-player's choice one. But really, really neat. It's got the manual, it's got even some of the Game Boy Advance merchandise, and disc is in good shape, and I was quite pleased to get this. It's just got a couple of fingerprints on the back of it, but other than that, it's in great shape. And he also had a copy of Gears of War 3. And so Matt picks up a stack of, I believe it was 007, Mario Kart, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and I can't remember the fifth one, but Shadows of the Empire. And I really, really wanted Mario Kart, and Matt already had it. So Matt makes the guy an offer of those 5 games, 5 games for $20, and the guy, okay, so he makes the deal, and at that point, Matt just bought 5 games for $20, so I go, hey, would you do these 3? It's these and the Gears of War, which I traded in, Gears of War 3, and I was like, hey, would you do these 3 for $10? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So this was a home run, and pretty much made the day as it was. I was super, super duper happy to have these happen. And then Matt was kind enough, since he knew I really, really wanted it, to hook me up with this, and that's Mario Kart 64, which it's such a fun game. I remember playing this a lot when I was a kid. Matt feels like this is the best entry into the series for Mario Kart games. I would be hard-pressed to disagree, although I do have tons of fond memories attached to the Super Nintendo Mario Kart. But this was just so cool that he did this for me. So I bought him lunch, and I hooked him up with a game today that I'll tell you guys about in a little bit afterwards. But this was just really, really nice. So that was just a huge score for us, and Matt was able to use those games to trade in for some things today, which unfortunately I tried to upload a video from when we were driving back that showed some of the things that Matt got. But he ended up getting something really, really, really cool, so I'm sure you'll see that in a video soon, hopefully. But the video, it corrupted, I guess. I don't know. I tried to upload it, and it just wasn't working. So then we went to this local pawn shop. It's called the Treasure Chest, and this guy usually has some pretty decent things. When I first got into collecting a couple months ago, Matt posted a picture of some things that he had, and I went in there and bought pretty much all of his Super Nintendo stuff and used them for trades and whatnot. But he had a stack of Nintendo games, and he has them priced at $1 a piece. So I just got an NES we talked about last week, and we're finally starting to get the thing to work. So I decided to pick up a couple games at Matt's suggestion, a couple ones that were supposedly pretty good. The first is Legacy of the Wizard. None of these games are particularly expensive. I mean, you're talking like some of them are $2 to $7. But always nice when you're paying a guy $5 and you're getting a pretty fair bit of things. We have A Boy and His Blob, which is supposed to be tons of fun. So I'm actually pretty happy about this one. Solstice, which Matt told me was a pretty interesting game. So I look forward to giving this a shot. One that I remember from when I was a kid, Spy Hunter. Remember they had a pinball game of this as well, and my uncle still has it, and every time I go up to Pittsburgh to visit him, I play it. And so this game is pretty cool. Let's see here. Marble Madness. So this was actually just like a fun, challenging game. So I was pretty happy to get this too. And these are all for $1, so really I barely spent anything on yesterday's purchases. You're talking $15, $20 total on just about everything that I got. So that was already like a really good day. So today we had the game plan. We were going to head up to this place called Level Up. It's up in Port Charlotte. It's about a 50-minute drive. So not too bad. And we were going to trade in a lot of the stuff that we had picked up in the last 3 weeks. And John, he traded in a ton of stuff a while back to pick up a Turbo Graphics, which you'll be able to see. I'm sure Dutchman's going to do his own pickup video. But really nice Turbo Graphics and a couple games he got for the Saturn, which you'll be seeing those in the video as well. But while we were up there, a friend of mine that I know through Magic the Gathering, he said I need a couple cards, and I would also like to get some money. I have a whole bunch of gaming stuff just sitting here. Do you want to come by and take a look at it and see if there's anything you want? So that was really, really cool of him. So whenever I talk about that, I'm not going to talk about price because he gave me a very good deal. I gave him something that was actually it's a pretty expensive Magic card, and I cut him a pretty good deal on it too. But that's what it's pretty much all about, helping each other out. And gave him some pretty good cash and a pretty expensive card. And he gave me some really awesome games as well. But first we stopped at Level Up and I did my trade-in. It wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be because he said one of the games was a little too scratched to take, which was I thought going to be the big money game out of all of them. I didn't really think that it was too scratched. Oh, let's say hi to the kitty. This is Binksy. She's my baby. She hates being carried and picked up. All right, go play. But I was still able to get about $45, $46 out of everything, which is great because 4 of those games that I traded in I bought for $2, and a couple of the other games I traded in were 2 for $5 on like a Black Ops and something else, Black Ops 2. But I was able to pick up some pretty sweet Super Nintendo games. One of them that I really, really wanted, I almost got it last time I was there, but I didn't. But the first one I got, and this guy's prices are actually very, very good. They are really on the border of price charting, and some of them are a little bit cheaper. Some of them are a little bit more expensive, but the prices were just right up my alley. So I didn't have to spend a dime today. I had a little bit of credit left over, and got 3 titles that are pretty decent. So we've got Wanderers of Ys 3, and all the games are in really, really good shape. The unfortunate thing, I wanted to get a Super Ghouls and Ghosts off of him for the SNES, but the label was pretty tore up on it. I probably could have talked them down in price because they're very, very reasonable people. I probably could have gotten it. He had it listed at I think 13. I probably could have got it for like 8 or 9 because of how damaged the label was. But I'm trying to go for quality instead of just grabbing anything that I see. The next game is in Illusions of Gaia, which it was between this and Ultima, and it was unanimous to get Illusions of Gaia. But I hear nothing but good things about this game, so I'm actually pretty excited for this one. And then the last one, it seems to be going up in price a little bit. It was still at the same price that it was when I was there about 3-4 weeks ago, and I've noticed that it's gone up a little bit since then. So I was happy to get it for this, and that's it's going to be Blackthorn, which I guess is supposed to be better on the Genesis, but I'm okay with that. It looks pretty sweet. The price was just right for this sucker. So I was not going to say no to it. And with the credit that I had, I pretty much could have gotten just like a bunch of crappy Genesis titles, or I could have gotten 3 very quality SNES titles. And Super Nintendo is my wheelhouse. So I was really happy to pick these up along with the Final Fantasy for yesterday. So that's 4 really good titles. But then afterwards, we went to my friend Bobby's house, and again, like I said, I'm not going to discuss money, but it was, I think, a pretty mutually beneficial exchange. But the first thing that I noticed right off the bat was this. This is the Sega Genesis arcade stick, and it is in fantastic shape. Bobby is a really, he's a smart guy, and he took care of most of his stuff. But this one, great. The buttons feel fantastic. It's a little dusty, but I mean, that's something I can clean up in 30 seconds. But I was immediately drawn to this, especially because some of the games that are in there, they're the kind of games you want to have this for. And it's the Mega Fire arcade power stick too, and kind of neat. It's a piece of Mortal Kombat gaming history. But this was the first thing that really jumped out at me, and I was really excited to have this. I've never seen one, as stupid as that sounds. I think maybe I saw one when I was like a kid. I kind of have like faint memories of my cousin having one, but as far as I know, this is one of the first I've ever seen. I have no idea how much it's worth, but I do know that it's something I really wanted, so I was really happy to get this. And then we get further down the rabbit hole. I'll start off, kind of from the bottom to top. We have 3 GameCube games that are all complete, except they don't have the games, so they're not complete really. But one of them is a very hard to find manual, and the other 2 are very good titles. Bobby says he knows where he does have the games, and he's going to find them, and when he does, they're mine. And I trust Bobby. He's, like I said, he's a very good guy. I've never had a problem with Bobby in the 5 or 6 years that I've known him. So the first game is another copy of Wind Waker, actually. This is a not what do you call it? This is a not. Oh, it has the map in it? I didn't realize that. Ooh, cool. Yeah, it's the not player's choice as well. Matt, I believe, has a player's choice, so I'm going to switch him out for this because I'm going to probably use this for trading purposes when I eventually get the game. The next is a really cool one. This is the Ocarina of Time and Master Quest bundle. This has the manual in it. It has some Nintendo literature, and eventually I'll get the game. Like I said again, I trust Bobby, and I know he'll come through. He seems like he's in a transient period in his life, and things are probably in boxes, and doesn't know where everything else is. The other one is a game that I came across last week and I picked up, but it didn't have a manual for it. But now I do have a manual for it, and that's going to be Super Smash Bros. Melee. And this is the the normal copy as well. These are not the player's choice or the bestseller ones, but it has still all the literature in it for Nintendo Power. So I'm really happy to get this because this is pretty hard to come by manual. I know the guys at Craigslist Game Finds, White. He always talks about how he always picks this game up, but he never ever found a manual for it, and it's a running joke on his channel that he'll find this game 15 times and he'll never find a manual for it. So I was pretty lucky to be able to get this game completed and in a superior box to the one that I had before because it was a bestseller box. But really happy to get these, and eventually, like I said, he'll give me the games. We'll work out something for those. So no big deal. The next are a bunch of Sega Genesis games, some actual pretty quality titles in here. And again, he said he has all the boxes for them, but he was one of those kids, a lot like I was, and that was you would take the games out and you would separate them. You put the boxes in the somewhere, and you put the manuals. You wrap them in rubber bands. And he says he has the boxes for these. When he gets the boxes, he says I can just have them for nothing because I have the manuals and I have the games. So I'm happy about that. And eventually he'll hook me up with it. The first one is Skate Hitchin'. Oh yeah. He said this is like Road Rash with rollerblades, so that's that's a microcosm of the '90s, and it's a '94 release too, so it's a little bit later in the Genesis life. So I think this one's gonna be pretty cool. Next one, sweet fighting title, Mortal Kombat 3. This one I had pretty fond memories of playing when I was younger at my cousin Corey's house, and I know it's not really a good game, but Kid Chameleon. Typical 90s, gotta have Jurassic Park. Welcome to Jurassic Park. I'll save this one for last. This one's a good one. We've got Sonic 3. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. We've got Tasmania. We've got, this is the running joke here, we've got a copy of Comics Zone. which is a really, really sweet game. I really wish this would get a remake. This is definitely like 90s to the T. This is the game that I tried to buy off a reseller lady. She had this game listed at, I think it was $30. I mean, it's a classic $6-7 game loose, and she would never relent on the price for it. But every time I'd go there, I'd ask her, like, do you want to sell that for cheaper? It was still here 6 months ago, and it would be here today. And she's, I paid so much money for it, so that's what you're going to have to pay for it too. So I'm happy to have this. She can go kiss my balls. I never have to ask her for it again. But yeah, this is probably the next one I'm going to play on the Genesis because it's such a fun game. And then the last one is a pretty good one. I'm probably going to try to work out a little deal with Dutch. He wanted this one. I ended up giving him a game for driving, which is a pretty sweet one. It was a PlayStation 1 complete in-box copy of RPG Maker, which is, it's only a $15 game, but it's a surprisingly rare when I looked up the scarcity of it. But I wanted him to have it, since he, drove me over to the friend's house and was nice like that. So I'm probably going to hook him up with this game, is in a way, But this is going to be Phantasy Star 4. Kind of expensive as well. Loose, it is, pretty interesting what this goes for. But, probably going to hook it up because he's a good guy and he helps me out too. So yeah, those were the loose Genesis games. And again, they won't be loose when he finds the boxes. But then we have two non-loose games. First being Shining Force. This one is the only one. He gave me a stack of manuals, and all the manuals are here and represented Sonic, Taz, you see, Mortal Kombat 3, Jurassic Park, Kid Chameleon. The only one he didn't have the manual for was this. And, Shining Force, though, is a really, really cool game, and I'm really stoked to get this one. It still has a little tab on it, too, so just really cool. This is a great game. And then the one that, we're all familiar with, that I've had tons of fun with over the years on the Super Nintendo, and I'm happy to have fun with it on the Genesis, and that's going to be Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Still with the tab, and complete. Whoa. Let's see. There we go. Kind of a just awesome game. This is one of those, I really wish they would remake this, but do it in such a way that the remake does the game justice, and you have fun, and it's cartoony, and it's over the top, and it's goofball, and the music is what, is great. It's too much to ask for. It'll never happen. But certainly a really awesome one. So then we get a little deeper down the rabbit hole. Just move these out of the way so I have room to operate. I was able to pick up a SP, Game Boy Advance. You'll see the little, see here. Good. Yeah, still works. Works just fine. Very clean. It has just a little couple of smudges on it, so I'll just probably knock those out with a little bit of Windex. But didn't come with a charger, but I actually have extra chargers from my days of working at GameStop. I have a few extras of these suckers laying around. So it comes, it'll come with a charger, and really cool system. It is a what do they call them? The 001. Couple just Game Boy games. We have this is sweet. Rescue of Princess Blobette. This is the boy and his blob thing. And Super Mario 2, 6 gold coins. Yeah. And then the obligatory, gotta have it, Tetris. So a couple, just regular Game Boy games. And then to go along with it, and there's a friend of ours that is probably going to want this, so I'm going to hook him up for sure. And that's going to be Gradius Interstellar Assault, complete in box. Still has the manual, still has the the cool little plastic that it comes with. But yeah, this is pretty sweet. Konami made some great games in the 90s, just absolute stunners. And I know he's going to want this, so I'm happy to hook him up with a complete in box Game Boy game. He's going for a full Game Boy box collection, so I'm happy to oblige. A couple really good titles for the PS1, and these are both complete in box. This is Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat. I don't really know much about the Warhammer franchise, but I hear it's pretty good, and looks pretty awesome actually. PlayStation 1 made some pretty good role-playing games. And then this one, which is just awesome to have. I actually already have it. This one is just in better condition, so I'll be trading the other one I have. This is Legend of Dragoon complete. It is the player's choice. The unfortunate part of it is it does have the broken, because they were impossible to not break on the inside right here. But the box is in really nice shape. So I'm happy to have that. And one of the cool things, I'm not going to go through these, but I'll show you real quick. Tons of Game Boy and Genesis posters. So one of these is actually pretty cool. This is the one I will show you. But it's the Atari Advantage poster. And, it has a whole bunch of the Atari classics on the back, the arcade stuff. And pretty stoked about this one because I might get this one framed. I mean, this one's old, and it's in really good condition. So I think that might be my man cave, edition. So lots of really cool little posters and literature pieces. Then we have a couple of let's see here, a couple PS2 games. The first one's complete. It's gonna be Hitman Blood Money. I wasn't really into this franchise when I was younger, but it's still cool to have it added to the collection. And then Summoner, unfortunately without the manual, but this game actually looks like friggin' sweet. So I'm gonna be playing this sucker sometime soon. And then we have a couple of GameCube games. These are both complete. One of them is a great title, and that's Star Fox Assault. Great space shooter. My trend of getting really quality GameCube games continues. It's in beautiful, beautiful shape. So I'm really happy for this one. And then Metroid Prime. This is one that I had recently. I traded it off before I got a GameCube. Now I have a GameCube, so I probably won't be trading these off anymore. But again, Bobby took really good care of his games, and they're in great shape. But this is a Kmart exclusive too, which is probably the only thing that you can get at Kmart that's fucking exclusive because Kmart is a joke. So these were really nice. And then the last thing that I'll show you, these are kind of cool. The first is a NBA Jam strategy guide from Brady Games. It's really cool because it has like breakdowns for all the players, different plays you can do, and it's in pretty sweet shape. NBA Jam was just a classic game. Growing up in the 90s, this was just a fucking sweet, sweet franchise. I mean, it jumped the shark pretty hard. But the first one and Tournament Edition are just awesome. So this is a kind of a little cool manual to have. The next manual I really don't care for very much. It's going to be Metal Gear. I'm not huge into Metal Gear. I never really have been. I never was when I was growing up. But it's still cool to have this. It's a nice, it's in very good shape. The next two are where it gets pretty spicy. This is going to be a Legend of the Wind Waker. Or Legend of Zelda, pardon me, the Wind Waker. This is going to be a strategy guide for this. And this is a, an official Nintendo Power Guide. So these are pretty awesome to have. And then the last one is definitely the coolest one out of all of them. It's probably in the worst shape out of all of them, but it's still a really awesome one to have. And that's going to be Super Smash Brothers, the official Nintendo Power Strategy Guide. So these are just a couple really cool guides to have, especially the Zelda one and the Smash Brothers one. I really love the NBA Jam one because it's so, uses words like radical and mondo and boss, and I'm all about that. It's pretty sweet. So, yeah, those were my pickups the last 2 days. And as you can see, we did pretty well. I apologize, I always run so long on these things, but I always have so many things to show you guys. So, yeah, unless I get some really good deals in the next week, you probably won't be seeing much of me until, we're doing a big thing at the end of the month where we're going to be heading to Tampa, meet some fellow YouTubers, probably do some trading and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's me. So if you guys like the video, make sure you give it the thumbs up and you subscribe to the channel because I'd like some feedback and I'd like to know how I'm doing for you guys. But other than that, yeah, that's about it. So thanks for tuning in and happy gaming, and we'll talk to you soon enough. Peace!